Say what that's the why calculation na enema bo na eba from no enya artificial and natural. $1 no enye say obi na ti ba bi no wakofa dollar bia be good system nim e na ama dollar na ho de na ba from. Gold board, gold ye. Na na da be kan wasem na obi hu de ntia dollar na confirm. Dollar na confirm no ye. Ba me say afedi o say on status or to gold. Na onim gold to na na dollar no. Eje won sem ko. E na dollar na status e ba from eno asote. Now petrol, diesel, eno asote. Won wa mo te wo mo niam so no. Nye say obi na e hye won. To obi ada won say won te so. About from 17 Ghana cedis per gallon to 10.56. And on after we say magic ben kwa na Bahama any to force it ediaba. And I will still tell them any day, anytime. Jena no pokwa jima jinawa. I say Ghana for you ni jaba umia. Because Baumia on call school so we question economics or Canada buy. Obedi vice president or head of the economic management team. Dollar JD. Jena no pokwa jima yare kwa land and kura ni yare muna dollar kofom. Bibi aboko. Okay, yeah, share na watch now, see, I think so. And no, say if you aboko, bibi abo fine. Hey.
Aye, start here Friday. This Friday, remember, na beginning. Consider na beginning. Monday, we go upon time. It say obi ye when she we think be 1 week and the saa hihye na all welcome. Enti o 1 day pe out be ye when she. Eno no so cross 1 day no. The why na say every first week of the month. And it's our first week of the month no enya nruya untimi nya yi ohonum. And it's say na anu ya meme ko yi no. Obekọ na obia ne de hye awubia no. Na why na adwen say obeya yi no. Oye no bia say ye Friday no nko a. Saturday no nko a. Sunday no nko a. Ohu. Anti abasa se onya kwoti toma na sha wo chia ne obachia yie be 10 ufiri ha na okwa ufiri na okwa isi and me gidie say e nhihye pa so hu eba nsabodie say a wo ye kroma ni na oti krom ha wontimu monso a emu 200 Ghana cedis se oti krom ho ye kroma ni ti krom ho a wontimu monso emu 200 Ghana cedis ano so kan hihye no ho bobu 200 Ghana cedis a baba chiwre bia certainty look on say captain sam na no na drain amanfo pa o me aye kura ye twantoma kura no so nyina wo le atwam o metina ho no metwetwe twantoma na nkura ne nam ho no bintim nko school e kom dia amanfo dabra bi untimu nyesa you know do what the seeker of person yes where no I think say we say in everything there's an exception into exceptions be wo to say bia ofi ha ne wakọ ne wakọ ye wa yi that is fine. Ufri ha wakọ na akọbọ nso a even 50 billion kura obi anu eni asem na so wo kuom ho de on ti ase na so hene bi so wo e sa hemfo ye yen da koro me gi say ho no no ka exceptions no ho no so ka exceptions no ho me gi say no de duru ho a bebe hu kwan abede be fa so but you know no I think say why ade pa me ye nyina say bo wanchi man hina baso ahu and then the other you know so no ben sia bibi enfrim because captain aye edwani amanfo pa o say onko ba bi a bi ti say abusua fie ana say fie bi bon say be 30 years ye renovation bi ada dan ti bubu ana bi abeka be dan kra ba ko ana say mienu bi na amanfo esensemu ahu bese ayesi ofie ho a yetiri bu afie no nyina tubu esansi no mono penti ahu de chance foforo eboso what you say enti sa ayi of friends say energy no ne gravity na yede ewura ayemu no megidi yesese di wura efie anasa abusua no ne akasa de boa emabunu abusua no anka nka Ghana hanka obi adi but yenyu so ne sa ahu enti megidi yesese ne wanchi man hene aye no ya de papa na dodo na so no ensua enfim that's it innocent
Captain.
Yeah, boko.
Oh, Yamiadum.
Yeah, tell your home catcher.
Yeah.
My main found chassis and free 1 Ghana cedi na. Abeda fuel so. I would say a lot of misinformation in our system name. Nipa ni bi ntiase but omumbusa. So be a kasa okoto petrol bia o toilet bia de 1 cedi atoso. Na na mi busa sa 1 cedi no. You bu 1 liter more no wetua 1 cedi no. You bu another liter more no wetua. I mean information no enye papa. Ibidum krase be ma petrol no bo ayede. Afi petrol no mfoma na eba. Me car kitikiti bia ya mi so I will feel at 3200. Na bo din. Say 1,009 straight up. Come baby.
Almost half.
Because Saturday 25 or something Ghana cedis na abasa. They say we ton 12.
Yes.
Even ton o cost oil say o ton say 11 BB. From bana eba. Let me jemma.
Yeah, Captain, I mentioned for Namenkasa. You see, politics na yeah, ma yankasa ya home, but we've gotten to a point the level of misinformation are heightened within the political space, a particular intent and purposes, because politics na me opposition media and say me say wa ban no me so me ba power so very often the real issues are end up in a collective welfare we tend to overlook it. And for me, I think say because the various actors are almost painted this negativity, this kind of misinformation around, and are people who are privy to the realities in this whole thing. I started here, obviously I introduced D levy. Obviously I introduced E levy. Any E levy comparison then as for the truth of the matter and say I buy any introduce any new levy anywhere. That is a palpable falsehood. Man for them mutugu. I buy any introduce any levy. But what it means Captain, what's the ESLA? Offer ESLA tax components now about 6 tax components. Energy sector debt recovery way that particular tax handle in the past na auto petrol utia 0.95 auto diesel utia 0.93. So that particular way na aban at the 1 cedi aka sa ade no ho abana move akwa nanim. So yes ya the levy aba anase e levy aba. So when you listen to various media platforms and people are banding this misinformation around, sometimes you begin to wonder. And then maybe as I never know course of various social media platforms. If you want to do podcast and those kind of stuff, you see comedy or music or I don't know, you don't need to think deeper to do. But when it comes to politics, if you really want to do podcast, politics you should pause, read, understand, get your fact right. Because politics is a very complex realm. You need to read and understand. But it's so very shameful when you don't understand something. Now camera now people are trying to do comparison between E-levy and then this 1 cedi that has been introduced. How on your right senses and I would introduce 1% to your friends at 1 cedi? Captain, 1 cedi is a flat rate across board. But you can't 1% depending on the amount of money involved.
Honorable Kwabena Kando quickly on the nurses issues, now yaba afeyato asofri no. Right.
I want to avoid the economic slippages that led to the hardship in the recent past. Government commits to continue to engage with the nurses in order to achieve a mutually acceptable outcome in the interest of the public. While working around the clock to resolve the impasse, the Ministry of Health has taken the following steps to mitigate the suffering of Ghanaian patients unduly affected by the strike. The ministry will in the next few minutes publish a comprehensive list of facilities to complement facilities where nursing services are lacking and where patients can seek health care. Given the urgency of the situation and suffering of the patients, government appeals to public-spirited retired nurses and midwives to volunteer their services for a brief period pending the resolution of the impasse. We further express our deep appreciation to practicing nurses who have opted to remain at post to help suffering patients and urge others to show similar fellow feeling and assist our ailing compatriots even as efforts are made to address their concerns. In conclusion, government reiterates its commitment to dialogue with the GRMA with a view to resolving this impasse for full nursing services to be restored. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. You may have heard him speak about the implications for the national budget in the event that the conditions of service as they exist are implemented immediately. To shed further light on that, I would invite to the microphone the Honorable Thomas Ampim, who is Deputy Minister for Finance. Thank you very much.
Good morning. We've all heard the Minister for Health, and from the Ministry of Finance, we want to show our commitment to help in resolving this important issue, because our nurses are very, very critical to healthcare delivery, and we appreciate what they do. But the reality is that we have over 120,000 nurses, and the implementation of the current condition of service that they are demanding will have serious consequences for the budget. In fact, if we fully implement it, we are going to add in excess of 2 billion cedis to the compensation budget. We have all committed that in our resolve to reset the economy of this country, we must maintain a 1.5% primary balance surplus every year in order to bring our debt levels to sustainable levels. And so it is important for us to manage expenditure. And so we want to appeal to our revered nurses that we are willing to negotiate, to sit with them and the Ministry of Health to agree on a roadmap that will help us incorporate what can be accommodated in the budget for next year. And we believe that they have all seen the hard work we are all doing to manage the economy better. We want to appeal to them that they should let us sit down and discuss what can be accommodated so that we can all have a win-win situation for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Minister. The floor is now open for any questions that may be agitating your mind on this particular issue. Please raise your hand. I will acknowledge you, and then you ask the question. Yes, Kamala.
The nurses say that they started the engagement way ahead of March, where the budget got kicked in, and then the assurance they had from the Ministry of Health was to the effect that their concerns or their conditions of service would be captured in there. They now say that it's out of bad faith that you have not captured it in the budget, and you are now referring to a possible implementation of 2026. Would the government then be willing to pay the arrears that they may be foreseeing?
All right. Any other question, please? I just want to take all the questions so that they answer it.
Okay.
In composite.
Yes. Okay. My name is Maxwell. I work with Joy FM and Enjoy News. My question is, I'd want to find out, would you describe this as an ambush, or was it something that government anticipated? I'm asking because during the transition period, I know there were many discussions, and one of the important components of those discussions was in the health sector. Did government anticipate this? Would you describe it as an ambush? What would you describe it to be, and where do we go from here? Thank you.
All right, so the minister made mention that government is going to outline some facilities that nurses could volunteer their services, and then the retired nurses should also come and support. How long are we looking
If I may clarify that, he said that he was going to publish a list of healthcare facilities that will complement existing healthcare facilities where this strike action has taken place. So that is what he said he would publish. The call on retired and retired nurses and midwives is for them to assist at the places where the strike action has taken impact. So that is a clarity that needs to be brought. But I would invite the Deputy Finance Minister to speak to the bit about negotiations that may have taken place in March, as you say, and what can be done going forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I don't want to describe any act as an ambush or any deliberate attempt at government or whatever. I think that our nurses are pushing for what they want. It is for us as government to also look at what can be accommodated within the budget. And you will all appreciate the fact that it's a new government that took over. And we have been confronted with many, many, many things. We have to balance everything and ensure that the economy is not thrown out of gear. We have a lot of debt that we need to, we have been confronted with. And so, in as much as I appreciate what our nurses do and what they are demanding, we also want them to have faith in the current administration that we mean well. And we are committed to ensure that we have a fair wage for what they do for all of us. And so let us not describe their action in any way that will mar our attempt to resolve this issue. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will draw down the curtains here, except to add that government doors are open those are matters that can be looked at once people sit around the table for discussions to be had. So the invitation to members of the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association still stands. And then, all right, so the Health Minister would want to make some concluding comments on the matter.
Yeah, thank you very much. And as a mother ministry, we want to still appeal to our brothers and sisters who are nurses to come around the table so that we have lasting solution to this matter. And I can assure them that as a ministry, as their mother ministry, we are the best people to pursue their interest, and we are committed in doing so. Thank you.
So thank you all for coming. See you another time.
Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Finance. Now it is more addressing the press on the striking issues and all of our dear nurses. No one some no. But the baby no so. Si mami ko Ivan ho na ye ka 1 cedi a abeda petrol ne diesel so sala me kana obeti ase. Ivan ye ko.
So Captain, so I think before we come to nurses issue, this 1 cedi thing, if we move beyond politics, now you measure your home into the realities and the challenges at the energy sector. You now you knew what was happening at the energy sector, but because of election, you have quite be to keep the light on just for political expediency. The very moment transition happened, John Mahama took over. We saw there were massive crack in the energy sector. Coming as a result of a legacy debt over the years. In the elsewhere John Mahama administration 2016 introduced this ESLA. The whole idea and they say just as sikana yam defray most part of this whole thing. Kwabrani timetena say the ESLA no kosi kam so I know that don't forget all start away funding in a pay. So the amount of money as a year market to defray this legacy debt, the money didn't go. So why don't forget all start away money as a year market to so Montana Parliament and they are pretending say they are speaking for the people of this country. Afenyo Markin and his group. They're the very people called Ken Foretta mortgage the ESLA. We sat here and we talk about it. So the money that was supposed to pay for the sector welfare debt, they didn't pay. So see, I'm not say the energy sector, we have a whooping up of about $1.3 billion. I know a saddle with the energy sector. Captain, apart from that, every year, because our energy mix in our home. IPPs approach MIB and a Yankasa, but then there is a shift. First, and I work Kosombo, and the Tema account for 70% of our energy mix because hydro they are top petrol because you use that kinetic energy that can to generate power for the hydro. But and I'm saying most of the power plants in India rely on Tema. I guess 70%. Tema rely on crude, a burn fossil oil. You can say oil. So what it means is that we have to buy fuel. Every single year, we are now buying spending $1.2 billion. The top fuel just to power this plant. Sabaya Ghana Benya Light, and this 1.2 billion is not factored in any of the levies that we pay. Taxes in as for auto electricity, which you can as for normal. So 1.2 billion the top fuel it's not part of it. Over the years, government in the session the bottom of Yisika, Nedia Atosa Neman, but Ninja Muntia, not a pale cocan. So if people are complaining, I buy and say, okay, this is what I want to do. See, you do want to doom so beba because of the recklessness and the kind of way you broke. And these people know what is at the energy sector. So do we take off this one CD na na sumo, and now we introduce this one CD na you making sure say at every year you bet me sika you better fuel. And the funny aspect of this whole thing is that say one CD na abind that so captain intimate to fuel for 1 year. Because the whole amount of one CD for the 1 year is likely to generate 5.7 billion Ghana cedi in dollar equivalents. That is about $526 million. My country say you hear 1.2 billion to buy fuel. I had the air power plant. So this one levy na a buy will have to cough up extra cash. I order back home. I over $700 million. And sana tibia masadi we are swanson the to fuel. So these are the realities, and the very people who sat down, watch the energy sector. Na kwanya ya fa so amanfo anya esensan contract de nyo musika yanti kroma na amanfo move a Mary plant from western region to Ashanti region. The amount of money involved, okay. And all these things, people took their cut by energy sector crisis in a car no. Nobody paid attention to. And a cana buraka kugu and ya da sorry na say yankobo ya impesika mfanto crude amfangu ya power plant ma captain o mine bebo. But in the past years na nasa gas processing plants na air cost so sanka yet be invested massively in some of these na ebianka ene ya metena ha madwini ku ya friends cruel na ya friends na sefo no monka ene. We also some reliever so more and more people who are out there spending this whole thing. The reality of this whole issue is that it's just propaganda because we are talking about the government within 6 months where taxes almost bear 4 and now 3 free and not Ghana ni be that one when they are speaking people don't talk about it because it's quite unusual say buying power now say taxes are medinnya mesika free no year free ho Ghana for relief in the conversation that is going what will be a taxes are buying year free ho e-levy any ho emission several other taxes are na egu Ghana for so abana take it away again over crude na nkasa na ukọ the global stage na sell 100 you fan say $100 per barrel and then a drop here to almost bear 64. So there is a relief. So there is a windfall. And until who say oil prices need drop over from no. And because of the dollar exchange rate management now cost until no. And also know the further relief about. So more can say buying a bed in air to Ghana for so you need that analysis because in the first place, fuel now for 20 cities, 17 cities, and a drop here and the average is between 11 and 13. So I buy another one CD and beyond that, people are paying lesser, several other taxes components in account. How do any normal person on his right senses sit on TV and say I buy a hardship a good amount for so when already about 4 taxes has been cut. You first say scrap here free and at this whole thing tax now there is a relief because prices is not dropping and there is a possibility say the price will go down. because me who energy commission in krata be na wabonti you can't fair rate as you all things being equal. This thing is likely to drop to about 8 cities and then as a forum. You understand? So that particular way, it is coming down a man for that particular relief. So if the argument is about relief, obi turn 20 cities, 17 cities. Now own to 1 city. Now we turn 11 cities and now 12 cities. Now 1 city can hold. Which one ended better than Emma Ghana for? Does it even make sense if it is not politics? Does it make sense? And again, Captain, so what the conversation going on now? It is not as if say price not on buy a extra 1 city the other so a system price in that hodl and I buy as you can free. So there is no new addition. But revenue, but yes, you cannot corner buying 1 Ghana cities in a free say to pay for some of these things. So the propaganda and the misinformation and those kind of stuff, people are for number who some videos are for the levy to her. And on mother, your friends say D-levy to her. There is no D-levy because there is no introduction of a new levy. It's just an addition. Abanya introduce any levy anywhere as a standard. There is 0.5, 0.93. Then 1 city has been added. So there is no new tax. So it is out of ignorance. And D-levy has been introduced. And again, when we say 1 city, 1% in E-levy, 1 city cannot be compared to 1%. Do you know why? Because your friend say, transfer 2,200 Ghana and 500 million. Do you know how much that particular money is?
No, 500 Ghana.
500 Ghana. Do you know how much 1% is? And this one is 1 city. It doesn't matter how much you buy. It's 1 city. It's 1 city. So how do you, on your right senses, compare? Say, one city. Does it even make sense? For me, I think you see, if we want to move on as a country, energy crisis na cause aban society energy power na edum ko ba no one tena we caution government to take pragmatic measures to ensure say Ghana will have a stable light because by we are here no you cannot do without that particular energy sector. And what about that it takes just to ensure say you ever bring that particular sector to life? That is what we need to do. And if these efforts are being started by government just to ensure that we stabilize the power, we only have concern when they take the money and at the end of the day you don't see anything. You understand? For that one, we will come here and ask government why they are introducing new taxes. And Captain, on any day, I will never come here and defend 1 Ghana city when the price was sinking in 17 cities. What I say? Because the whole conversation and the politics we do is to buy relief for the average and ordinary Ghanaian. So if there is a deduction of about 4 cities, free so Ghana need a relief. Other people are also feeling say yentity fuel other way so. But now no matter I say drivers and as for someone here because 1 city abantino or demonstration. Say what kind of nonsense is this? Because who turn the 17 cities now who turn the 13 cities the 1 city on it 1 year demonstration government taking 1 city out of it that money that is being taken as the existing price in a buying air 1 city free. Does it even make sense to say your friend say 1 city about and who turn the 17 cities why didn't you go on demonstration? But now price now drop here. There's a possibility it will drop. But because 1 Ghana city within government will take to give you light and make sure that the power sector stabilizes. No, Sikana will buy tier free. So it's not as you say you're slapping new 1 city on it. Existing price and I'm buying air strap with that particular 1 city from. So what is this noise? You understand? Because maybe your driver and I'm a person I will do demonstration when it was 17 cities. But now that the price has dropped, the price in the sign cost could do 17 cities. I promise them, they should remove that particular 1 city. Because the whole essence of this thing is to ensure that Ghana need relief. But maybe your position, do you know what I would have requested for? And you'll be asking government about sunset clause. Says Canada say no tell when and I give it to you and I say ABC. You understand? And these are some of the legitimate questions who your position are. You can ask government for answers. But baby, your money it doesn't make sense. And you see, sometimes when you sit afar and you watch what is happening on the political stage now, as I'm crown crabina sebi. Sometimes it's amazing, Captain. Politics are growing up. DC and other form I'm telling you, people are more rising to political stage. You don't know quote to a said because a train is no adrena. Some people don't know what I want to say. These are logical sequences as human beings we need to think just to ensure that power crisis, you know, you bet me stabilize it. Am I energy sector now your way? Isn't it a fact that the energy sector we have about what 3.3 $1 billion debt? When are we going to pay? Unfortunately, this year the finance minister made allocation of about 23-24 billion. So over the years, if we've been able to make this commitment, I am not sure what I say. And say, one cassette you do live from an apocalypse numero. Now, who talk or your fans, who tier 1 city, and this 1 city is not across board. A who top fuel. Ubet me cassette drivers star affected passengers in as a forum. But the bottom line is that the price is now dropping from 17 down. The minimum class is not 20. I drop it down to 11, 12, 13 around. So if there is anything, I think the government rather deserve commendation. But the kind of nonsense that has been bandied around in the name of politics and then as a forum, don't forget, say, this is the same government that has removed about 3-4 taxes. Naga Ghana Fokuma no Musu. And dear Bena, among fire, or revenue Ben or Bachich Mino. If that is going to be the case. So for me, I think that we need to embrace it. A true point, baby, that's a fuel prices in the cost. Then we will advocate for government say on reduce and not on inflow. And again, I think that communication on some of these things is also key. Because you see, in some government should have made a time just to explain some of these things to people. Because my character said in politics, you don't create a vacuum. When you create a vacuum, people will fill it with cynicism and propaganda. Most of the people are here taking issue, more discussing the crowd. Some even don't even understand. They don't even know what is going on. So at the end of the day, if there is no proper information that is flowing in the system, people will make their own information. They create their own news. And people who consume news on various media platforms, they don't even understand. They don't know what is going on. Whatever that they hear, they swallow the hook, line, and sinker. So at the end of the day, you give currency to propagandists on various social media platforms to misinform and feed these people with utter nonsense. At the end of the day, it will go against you as a government. So I think that government will have to strengthen its communication machinery just to ensure, say, in some no bar, on country Ghana for just to distill some of this propaganda. Because in opposition, people will have time just to ensure, say, they run your government down. And for me, that is what is going to happen. And very often, Captain, no cancer, I buy my power, or be able to recover to me, we're not communication or major. But you see, I dear Bakua here in governance is communication, if you really understand it. But in Ghana, MPP happened to them when NDC was in power in 2016. John Mahama free power and Salaman who never be our way. And the same thing is happening now. So I think that people need to look at some of these critical areas and who say governance, and it's not about what the president will do. It is about how to communicate with people, inform them, and let them know what is happening in the government. That is the most crucial part of governance. It's bigger than even what the government is doing.
I mean, that's it. Lucius, where can I see from the other way?
Next for the Becca Huasem. Now, my main can't be so kakra. Panufole me ko any man can be jay musu. Entino, Captain. Sa one Ghana cities per letter aban edeba. Before the mamen kan ayi unse ochina BC be start BC ochina. Memfa kwanya so na mema ye nuanom ne ye mba be kwotro BC ochina ne nyina se beti nkwa. Na be nhwe be husu yi nso. Me ya se na nse me kan information bi a news item bi a chese bono east ene ahafo. Ba note be as a hotspot eba apwa we dey mesre say this time no benti bani ahu na apwa posem na be no honom no enya dia ebeboa this time crampo dey menhu say obi atro BC awi aka say manya secondary school anko ene no akwa no wholesale promotion bi so regardless of grade akra no de ebeba bia no obenya school akọ enti no mesre say ba be engage na poor ne even teachers abekoye invigilation mo ne ba be ko toto niema fam puma mu no bebe toni down kakra and sometimes regions na be note be as a hotspot na enye papa emwa because obi ekobomode na ono kra timinya good grade no free sa region hon ma obi abeka say yapo no ode yeden ode troye enti we de yesra nkasa na nkra no nso no benje bensi ade na benkotro kakra bi obetimi atro bi atro na diwadi free apostle captain na sasa kakra bi obetimi atro bi na atro ubenya school akọ captain 1 Ghana cedi per liter aban I say or the air to fuel so no me gidie say yasempa wabreko a aban eka saa asem no man betu odwa Ghana for utie ne na Ghana for eka now to say obia ehu ne say oh the impact of that 1 cedi no kra no will not be felt that much because now fuel no ade a ye to no somewhere around 17 cedis honum ahu na ene no fuel no aba bedu somewhere 11 cedis 12 cedis per liter until say even semitua 1 cedi ede ama ban krampo na enya ade a edu sa 17 cedis na na me den meto no no na un say mpanimfo kan say bi se fie bia mensa wo enti no Ghana ha ya yewe no MPP for na ba ye problem wo Ghana ha enti kame akoyete say ade papa bia ne ebeba bia no be pese be den be botubu ene no say o hwe before NPP ebeba aban mu a ade ba ko a na eye menkan say a deep wound wo President Mahama ho eye saa dum so no what you say enti no NPP for ede ye politics say oh dum so wo ho ema Ghana for 8 years ede to aba ede mabe bebedru ye no say o energy sector hon ma ba mbobra papa bia wo ho no ahu enti ne no bebenim say President Mahama etimi solve sa energy sector crisis na there is no way NPP beba power bi nya dia beba power because beni asem bia aka ende ya me no ka say no dollar na I say ejina ne nan so na mpempi no hwe mame nka we kura ansana about dollar no so na captain wouldn't say that competitive mindset no na ye de politics kwan de no ye papa kwan ne ye say no MPP for ne de sad no eba ye politics in what you say obia no ne okofa CD appreciate and say depreciate ebe ye politics or Ghana ha until say MPP for ebe ye politics obia no ne okofa school sem ebe ye politics wa abreko a ye started politics or Ghana until say MPP for started that issue of media ne ye we are competent we are incompetent we that those things ni nyan MPP for any started enti ene no be pese be sign started that as adina at the corner beam wa abreko a be wo opposition enti dollar na ejina ne nan so na yi offense na do case oh cedi no aye hata enti no me kofa Dr. Baumia because onu mom ne oyeden onim de obetimi aba bo ama cedi no appreciate in the end no Baumia ntima anya ho hwe and Dr. Baumia onu mom any economic economy no hu bibia no cedi no ebe ye te sene chese paper hu bia na ekitaye what you say oba ye no cedi no den fama depreciate ya in the end na be catch say oh adeno ukọ amaya hodo so a be make unnecessary comparison ukọ haya be kra be currency no depreciate ukọ haya say and Dr. Baumia cedi no ba be ye te say akurasi ni ba ne high hill no na entimu ngina what you say enti no be me ma excuses bebre ewo oman mu ene den asem ne oba be ka ba o ti ase cedi no dane ti say tujimi captain e dane ti say woni mu bi e friend tujimi wodi sija so a obako na to say tocho ubi so a ensere what say what you say enti babia Baumia e de Ghana economy no ekoduru ye no ene no and president
ba ne high hill na
Senjina wa unim anu de nyame me ka ache
senjina ejera de nyamgo
waku ene no yanya aban papa waba babia cedi no wahu ekoduru ye ene aba bedu 11 point something what you say ene no sa taxes ahu introduce ya na ebu amanfo komu emranche ne mabawa enam kuremu na benya adwuma nye ni hokofa yi levy ebaaye yi levy wantimi a cheye ade potin na hodi yi levy eba beye kenoforiata ko gina Cape Coast o ka kire youth ni say ababe 2.4 million any formal sector abe ya adwuma miwa no say o hwe youth no emabunu from 15 to 19 years about 18 million. Enti no say o introduce e-levy a ebetimi aboa ama 11 million youth atimi anya adwuma ye. Who introduce e-levy ne hokofa naku e de baaye na mbabunu homa be offense 7 Ghana cedis e wo ban mu. Enti e-levy wantimi amfa anye ade papa bia wantimi anche ade poten a who di e-levy ye. President Mama be wa ba betwa e-levy. Betting tax and Mabunu Krona and Abenya Adumanye, Obile Mamma me phones to make me a trap bed, and ya be a 2 series, 5 series, be a quack or any beans here, dear. No crew betting tax ever since amount for Kumu. Ewo Krumu say, and the betting tax no President Mama, a betting tax no every home. What I say, and Sydney air appreciate betting tax were year free home, e-levy were year free home. Fuel na Mayotono, somewhere around 17 Ghana cedis, you know. And then fuel no aba bedru 11 point something. Ebi mo ton 12 dear. What you say, but it's not up to that 17 Ghana cedis per liter na Yotono. And no President Mameka say energy sector honum no problem ewo honum. Of which a whole MPP for Kroya and who ya way say you were about $3.1 billion car at the honum. Air can ye. A Ghana ka ya ne say tua obi amfri baabi emetua sa kan emfe maye. Woko ECG nko a ECG for na nkasa be so be obe challenge ho no. What you say with the men can say power theft in na sefo a ewo ECG any offense technical losses a ewo ho no. ECG nko aka eda ho no is around about men can say 68 to 80 billion. What you say enti wani betua eye menu mienu ni ebetua enti no President Mama and all can say wo hwe ECG honum anase energy sector ye use about $1.2 billion editor liquid fuel edit power ye thermal plants fine enhihye egu akwan mu a all sane ba be build another gas processing plant e wo krum ha sane be ya ebetimi awave that burden no e dia fi honum number animani mu ya onya enye den build this processing plant which is the GPP2 no ya say yan raise sa 1 Ghana cedis no per liter send the be ya yebetimi di aid and say yebetimi di aid a support because $1.2 billion na ye de to liquid fuel no say wo ka say ye twia je say wo de ba beto customer no so and say consumer no so what you say of which over the period no enya de ye calculate edema of friends and consumer no e ma ne twiaka eni no ye can energy sector asem once I can energy sector asem no the fuel no so part of the energy sector and as a branch of the energy sector sami atie dia yemfa 1 Ghana cedi enye den enko to fuel so because fuel no dey aba from and the captain say the udi kan yi no say we anka say na wusi to fuel a eti say ene say no enti sabim what you say enti 1 Ghana na ye dey to so no even friend saying driver ni ana say car na ono no kwakoto fuel no kra on feel 1 Ghana cedis no sa what you say na minim de enti I say NPP for no say wo de ade papa bia ba krom ha ya na be bo atu agu enura chi ya na hoho aban mu ensem a ye kan nyina no ye hwani wasem wantimi anya de amfa alternative measures bia angu akwan mu amfa solve ene say President Mama ka say ye ntua 1 Ghana cedi a wo sorry a kakra bi na ho aye den ho ye press conference kakra bi na ho ye press conference minim adekro potin a MPP for April Okuba this a party a ho ankasa no party no agu hu mu acheche instead of say ho be fa kwan bi so atima da kan ho abom na ho kwan a ho be fa so ho be face 2028 elections no ne ho one result to you say at time bia no ho be den ho be ye press conference e Okuba enti captain the American dia kwakwa wie say Ghana for 1 Ghana cedis no Ghana for asom say o hwe other social media handles no so nyina o Facebook o TikTok o baabia obia ni ho ne o kasati amenya hu Ghana ni bia was on microphone asi ho a wo ka say 1 Ghana cedi no ade a twamene isi of friends say e-levy a ho de baaye no na ye nima de a ho de baaye
see then a simple calculation no say jede etoto ade so a ne bo kosoro na ne bo ba fom ne bo kosoro nti to na say ade account ade ne bo ba fom na eto ben ya Simple.
So how can any normal person?
Yes, I mean that's simple. Yeah, they are two ideas were at the end of the one. Say yeah, they are they almost say the toast one. A former neighbor.
So and your politics are why will a driver?
Your politics are.
That's all right.
No Montiase, could you conclude non Tiase? A friend saying, I find your marking non Tiase. I can't on them sound one of what I say.
And these are people oko ECG captain. Sika yet tam the cockra near my in here ne container and as for bear way. Oko a car assume ECG no and yard the ketwa. I through the same people their recklessness near my in here. Mitayan and some classes are by ya can't ya must stop. What was the essence of this whole nationwide meter change? Because somebody wanted a cat and Yakoto meter. You see, they were purchasing things we didn't need. Because if they had reason for that particular introduction, somebody could have come before Ghanaians and explained why we needed to change these meters and so forth. And they say there was a communique out there that they should stop. I know. So no, there is official communication said they should stop.
Yeah, before, I mean, last year.
You understand?
Yes.
New meters.
Yes. New meters now, but no so China expire.
Okoko border. During transition period, they gave contract for people to import jute sack. They had this cocoa shape. For the next 10 years, Ghana Sika, cocoa board. You can check. So sometimes you see, when people want to whip public sentiment, now we are a young person, I want to seminar see. You see, don't drive yourself. I say, who are podcaster? There are comedy issues, sports. There are issues. But politics, if you want to do, is a very complex arena. Read to understand, make sure you get the fact right before you delve into some of these arenas. You understand?
You could go upon Benin, but Benin pa intentional negligence. Ah, well.
I'm telling you, don't want to say.
Many people say I'm the whole
They say I did that one. And come back, you did it. All of a sudden, they were trying to explain. What's your explanation now? It's just no Montiase. I find your market Tiase. Could you punk on Tiase?
Well,
because a very simple thing. You two taxes more, and you're my boy, and Costro. And then 3 years, one city Coca Hono. I did free 17. I bet 11. You had a twaka home. A tournament back home, as I said, the board of Costro. And look, you see, BB is you, but I say. Yeah, MPP for you come back to the drawing board. I never call opposition, me catch almost I know Munti me. Okay? MPP, you winning election 2016, 2017 years when another in. There were artificial reduction of goods and services. William Yakobai, and another through case. Yeah. Say, you winning 2016 election now. 2017 pepe. I was so kind. Then the spare parts in the you get duty.
Yeah,
okay. It's you winning election now. And I was so kind for the Dimrika. Eddie kind tete. Omoni amanaso. Yatis wonti. Yatis spare parts so. Adama for say yay, yatis spare parts so. Never Adama for so Dimrika. Ete Laura Feso. VIP ne di kind tete so. Eja wi asemo. And omuti say him. High sense. You can't budget 3 years and no nimuno. And a tifa ye na ye so. Say, so what's not the dinner wire calculation? And never born ever from any artificial and natural. $1 no. And yes, I will be a Tibe walk off $1, be a good system. And I'm $1 now, what they number from a gold board, a gold, yeah. Then I die back once I'm no who the $1 and come from $1 but we say I feel you on the status or to good. No go to turn out $1 no and you want some call 17.
I said good for you one outcome no.
I can't that. And $1 and started say back from and no assorted. Now petrol, diesel and no assorted. One more to money so yes so be the share so be at that one say want so. Petrol above from 17 Ghana cedis per gallon to 10.56 star oil.
And this is driven by two factors. One, at the global stage, per barrel, no, I drop it. And I see the news so as you gain away.
It's your better than I want to so. Wow, better than your so. And on our phone, with him say, Magic Ben Kwan, Bahama, and they are to force it at the Abba. And I will still tell them, any day, anytime, Jena no Pokwa Jiman Jinawa, I said Ghana for you in Jaba. Because Baumia on call school, so we're pushing economics, or Canada by, you know. Obedi vice president or head of the economic management team, dollar JDSM. Jena no Pokwa or Yana call land in the Quran, the Yaribuna dollar coffin.
I've heard of a saw economist. All lose power we had.
Then you remember you were the economist. I mean, these things. Oh, anyway. Any day for Marche.
Yes, I will be caught.
But maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. What can I say?
Yeah, but very important. Captain, I think generally no. Yeah, emolument structure in this country has been a major problem. And so we had the workforce, you know, salaries are for a techie. Sometimes now we have conditions of service from teachers, nurses, police officers, and as a foreman. Sometimes but very funny and very interestingly, no, workforce no more Ghana less than 1 million, no. It take almost your friends the best 70% of the entire revenue are generating. This number is less than 1 million people. So I think that there are structural defects in the emolument structure. The differences when I will are accounted for. And to be a nurse in the north national your friends say you see you be salary and the machine. So I know the day, you know, people feel okay to be rich, you know, I just need to get closer to politics. But I think that as a country, now you restructure your emolument structure in such a way that people who give services, especially essential services, police in the betimi and that's also kwa adwuma. Obetimi akọ mafie. Meboa, see wo kwa adwuma beba fie. But police in the kwatena bank ni obetimi atunutu akunu because one armed robber is coming, you are the first target. You understand? So the whole thing is a risk and nipa no take it. So I think we need to look at the entire salary structure in such a way say baby obia wo bia no nipa no be feel say me so me ya ban adwuma na nya ka captain I know teachers ya dodo na de mo salary free more but so men so do obaje kwa nu 300 Ghana go o mo shada da mo de mo ne bicycle no moto na de aba na manfo ajejejeje na ya tifu salary na de be ba no say ne salary nyina sa so sa ne ma wo nya wuram a wodi ho agora you be poor forever. And now, too many no help people on the political stage. I buy it me time over about $45 million. Not the amount one wound to maybe as a contract. And the China cars a good Ferrari. Ha, quite of us are rich. You know that a politics, a seeker. So I brought the day, you know, a man for liberty, I'm a man for be so better within them. Say, my classmate in here, me no, and I'm a medical doctor, me yet surgery, hospital, me that's around upon I do you know, me salary here. This person by say all of a sudden look at Adubuahin. Just imagine Adubuahin overnight quite fast we are Ghana sika by rich. Now the classmate a medical doctor. Now what hospital baby from day to night. Now what the fans say 10,000 Ghana says no so I can not discover the China girlfriend. I cannot cry. Will you be happy when you know say services you are rendering is far more essential than what that person is. So I think that we need to admit that there is a systemic emolument deficiency and a structural defect in our salary structure. On another day, you know, we need to open a conversation and have an honest conversation about that. Then Article 71 and I can answer President Mahama so be reviewed and so forth. Nina come in because you see, and I ya boppy and I politics.
But Minia, Article 71 as can we ever review it?
Oh, if we want to, we can.
I'm not sure.
It's about commitment.
No, I'm not sure.
It's about commitment.
Nobody will.
Is that all her political advice?
Why never
Yo, a political will.
The President Mahama kind of says, "Oh, MP and the first term, say we call primaries. Now we win here. We be train general election. No, we win here and the entry.
Where's Gracia?
Where's Gracia? The entry. There's a Lusudia. And yes, Gracia Kuya. Me did 10 years for what? Me had then I did 10 years for Parliament. Me did 12 years for Parliament. No, me as Gracia need to do one term. No, as Gracia by it's the same thing. What I think in a say. It's across nations. There are conformity UK. One monthly salary as a chief executive officer. A so chain your friend is saying the Prime Minister of.
Oh
of
yeah,
UK.
yeah. Now Ghana is the same thing.
That's right.
Governor of Bank of Ghana.
Yes, Governor of Bank of Ghana. Well, Papa, you answer no beko. Now okay, can it be almost $50,000 a month?
So
President, I go for that say. See,
it makes sense.
Me, I think so. The Obia deserve no. Yen kana yen fama no.
Exactly.
But men funny pan kwan to chacha because we say wow.
Oh, me baho. So me, I'm starting with a structural defect and then as a form, we need to look at it honestly as a country. Now I'm making sure say those crack, you know. So that's a teacher near Juma, Obe feel say yeah, I'm proud, I'm a teacher, I'm a nurse, I'm this, I'm a police officer, proud, and then as a form, that one has to be. But you see, this conversation about nurses going on demonstration and as a for strike and as a form is pathetic in such a way, as a captain. In the first place, yes, discussion of course on paper, no, they deserve it. That's a fact, and I think the minister has really admitted it. Say they need that condition of service as a improve on my life. Oh, be here. What condition of service? But the way you go about it, you see, as when this collective bargaining agreement started with Akufo-Addo government, you know, there were plans to implement it. Because they took the issue to court. Ghana Psychiatry Nurses Association took GMA to court as an ex-party against the implementation of that policy. Because almost say GRNA and then a bank court meeting. Almost as your friend saying, psychiatry nurses they were not involved. Right. So they joined and they won the case. And the government there now Akufo-Addo abide on no science and could not implement it because me ya de amamo mu nyina na benefit matter assembly the court amenya dey assembly drag a court do you know I think January we ya na hon sensem ekwakosi about that time the budget ninya one day the draw nipa no be wa ya wie. And again we are talking about discussion when aban fine a fair aban be but you see captain one major issue what has to do with timing. Within this period now, 6 months, you know, it's not a period that I buy bet me no I trash this issue out. Because the amount of money involved in this thing, you know, and over 2 billion and over. So finance minister and now president in this we need to plan strategically towards it. And for me, I think that a government that will take it over for 6 months, you know. No minister and some person will use ambush, but I think that is a perfect description for that particular thing. It is totally an ambush. And the way a manner things are going, you could see clearly say there is a political bit of it. I do know say midwives are trying to say move from nurses. That's and our president, you know, I can say they are not part of, they are not in support of this. Yes, he said they are not in support of this because fine, they deserve it, but the way a man or more it is not fair. And yet the Ghana Psychiatry Nurses Association say they are not part of it. They are for it, but they are not part of it because they think said the GRI, you know, are taking a belligerent position, and for me that is sad. And unfortunately, I'm told the president will declare winning in our baby negotiation and discussion of the country.
Or declare strike in the way and minister friend or catch and so be no. And second, what mean a DJ catch minister and say, hey, dear, me too kind. Your husband can be anybody, your wife can be anybody.
If you are doing your politics, you can't. And
then, Obia will declare strike. We'll see, no one to say, and says, yes, and come on, come and toy your media open. Minister Freo phone as a
you see, so it's sad, and I think that we also need to look at our laws because you see, nobody is against nurses asking for whatever they deserve. Obia deserve, but maybe say take your time, making sure say processes and procedures we need to go through because you see, we are talking about a change of government. Yes, see. The government of the day wasn't even part of that PAC agreement. So as a new government, you know, I need time to also review the conditions and so for some of the portions in Nemano Mubisa, like for instance, every 2 years we will renew PINA. Government will have to pay for that money. And as well. Yes, you can make those arguments. I made the say it will take time for a buying to do some of these things. So in a haste, you know.
will ask government to pay a PINO. Say, nurses in Abeka wow certificate no. I would year Jubano. Upin nurses a wutriahoka. What's say about into amount? That teacher for swaba. About into a pin. Police for the soldier faba. About into a pin. A German for mass swaba. About into a pin. I mean, why?
I need a negotiation table, the bargaining chip, the other cost, and for me, so I buy jitum so but yeah, that's fine, or jitum so that's fine. But maybe I say within the time frame 6 months, you know, a year too short to engage government or you new in this particular regard. What about transama negotiation? I cost no matter what no. But just to say, me go strike, obia premier meeting, grand to so omunyo obia kono mo na meeting. But I like the posture of the minister. The way a manner or address the issue, you know, I think that is how governance should be. You don't need to go overboard. That kind of very often you see a man for the terminal as a forum. I like the posture, despite the fact that the leaders of this particular strike, you know, are behaving some way. I like the way he's going about it, and the measures are immediately, you know, put in place just to ensure that people will come on street. But Captain, I think that you see, there is a backlog of nurses sitting home. Government will need to find a way. For the past 4 or 5 years in here, we are rotation. We are out of you. They don't post them. These are some of the fundamental challenges we must also look at. But for me, the reason why I don't support this kind of strike is because, Captain, one, the agreement discussion, because it is not about your salary a monthly. We are doing it. So you can stay on the job and still bargain for what you deserve. Because a monthly salary as seminar year can say, Bosome or mere form to me 1 cedi. 1 cedi in the minute, and we wait to me to know my sir. But they are paying your 1 cedi, but also buy say tablets, you talk credit to good tablets. So when they are paying your salary, it's a different ball game altogether, you understand? So I think that these are some of the things that we need to look at near we said. We can do our politics, we can do our everything. Right. But you see, one other thing we need to be very careful about a human life. One, I've been at the hospital, I know what it takes, and I understand. Right. I also understand the challenges that nurses go through in as a form. But you see, you can't be belligerent in this particular matter, and you cannot use political whatever just to bulldoze your way through. Some of these things has to do with proper negotiation discussions. Because doctors, for some time now, I've been engaging government back and forth. And so but declaring strike in as I know that if you get what you get, they will deserve what. Depend on what we better day. So I think that cool health must prevail. Make sure say you walk into the negotiation table. Me, whatever they are asking, I think that they deserve it. Government bet me work here on far more. But for time, you know, ambushing government in this particular manner, by your 6 months old. Forces a giddy we implemented this particular thing. It doesn't make sense, and I think that we need to look at our labor laws very effectively and making sure that some of these loopholes, a woman, a man, for to do some of these things, you know. You bet me I can tell you, and yes, I am quite mobile.
Precious,
Captain.
At the time that's all. You can say per 1 hour.
Yeah. Wait here. You be can kakra. Captain, the nurses no a demand no. They even need more. So they need more. Aduma nurses yen go krum ha say no unless say unim the aduma be be say unim pa aduma nurses ya enka obehu say akatua ye de mabe any allowances and I say be condition of service a ye de mabe wo krum akra no ade a isakra enya nurses nko a teachers for eka ho Ghana Police Service eka ho. Na Captain adebako a beka e say sometimes no say who demand for bibia ahu e wo kwan a ofaso ye den ofaso eye na o he nurses dey a e kame akoye say benso be problem e wo ho be problem eka ho ne nti a be condition of service no adili no because o hwe condition of service na be negotiate somewhere in May 2024 ne be ye negotiation no ne esenka start implementation ne ba ankasa associations no bi within the nursing na midwife for no ka ho ne psychiatry say ne iban kan enso ka ho ne be the issue no e court but I think say be wie before even December until na esenka implementation no start in December ne MPP aban no antimi anya de antimi implement ni be free honum be ye nyina ye nim say during the transition period no na mama aban no eni saa ayina budget a obetimi de den obetimi di abuman eni nti abema no the be pass act a ye de a friend is impo obe spend the limited amount before onu ankasa aye ne budget no what you say enti no se wo hwe ayi nkomo ya yedi a nurses for no be issue but government no so part no somehow some way it makes sense because one negotiate ade enti no ade na oko negotiate no dependent on the economic condition na ewo ho anase aban na ewo ho no ode de one negotiate ene no aban foforo aba na so onso ye den so onso ehwemu biem what you say now kwan a obefa so a obetua niema bi mu see bear clothing allowance rural clothing allowance and then health allowance the rural intensive allowance ba be wo nkurase no wahu ben so ese betimi nya bibi kakra e de kan be pay hu ni nyina no reasonable what you say however no I think
rural allowance no wo nkran ha ye ma
and can have say rural communities wo ho
o ye dwon kolebu ye ma rural allowance
kolebu for no be kura no sa condition of service here ye ka ho ase internally no it is catered for because clothing allowance and health allowance no last year nko kolebu for spend about 2 million Ghana cedis and the cater for that health allowance no what you say but we say ye can in the larger perspective generally near nurse for na perpetually said the certain is that when I pray the say no baba so benefit no
that's right no benefit no obi haunting kan ha
good
o man rural den
but I don't make say in cran so your rural communities wo
the until in rural community no na
enti onu nso me ka say dependent on what your
collective bargaining agreement collective enti obi a de wom
package but I think say be no nso no betimi e ka be hubo because last week me say minister yes say on be ba be hia no be call minister no office later minister no a section of nurses na be ba ho no e be call ono ne office e be ko hia ba na be down ho no be say minister no adenti a offer one association e be call ha all association na offer be no empese on be nyina be hia
so you see the union politics a bit of
adenti a ho nyina ho fight a common cause na still no ho pese ho bet na table back when
so with the divided front nobody will even take you serious you
understand and also come you divided so akotena bruchiri
exactly so ebasa they would deserve no cry no be man for atra so akese tia say politics na we you don't even know what you want you understand so I think that nursing leadership need to set up because over the years omo ankasa di nurses na omo abo mo fam because my catcher being at the hospital near my cost it will not be an blood doctors necessary to spend the time or no the allowances the differences as well more kasano so over the years no more go money must that and the nurses knows the leadership has failed them
okay now can
quickly and napa mackerel and napa condensed milk and napa evaporated milk de soko nti momodin ya baby onambia no open mackerel napa open condensed milk napa open evaporated milk and so napa na nyame ya adom echina yebe seshia but answer na no fa wetu tirim yeba yebe kan ho asem contractor yetua ho ka ya nye dodo a ewo omem hasese ye se ya me no ka say afa na minister of roads honorable Kwame Agboja o chi hwehwe contractor na no yeba omia krom kwan no yaban $30 million
no asia fa na say yentem me say
waje $30 million e blow cash na wie e kwan no 1% 113 kilometers why 1%
and you tia me ka
$30 million